Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our regular meeting of council for Monday, November 13th, 2023. If I could ask everyone to please stand for the national anthem. Thank you, and welcome to all members of council, staff, and the public. I will call the meeting to order. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof? Seeing none, motion to accept the agenda. Deputy Mayor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Manley, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry accepts the agenda of the regular meeting of council on Monday, November the 13th, 2023.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. There are none opposed. Moving on to the adoption of the previous minutes for October 23rd. Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Move on by myself, seconded by Councillor Cadell, that the minutes of the following meeting be adopted as circulated. Regular meeting of council, October 23rd, 2023.
Thank you, Councillor. Any discussion on the previous minutes? Any errors or omissions? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. There are none opposed. Okay, moving on to delegations. I'd like to welcome Marie-Pierre d'Anjou, Communications and Community Development Manager for Maison Interlude House. Welcome to our meeting.
Thank you. I need to start.
Sure.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, councillors, for having me here tonight. As you mentioned, I'm the Communication and Community Development Agent for Maison Interlude House. I'll try to make this as short as possible. I know your time is precious. So, who are we? Maison Interlude House was founded in 1983, so we are celebrating our 40th anniversary this year. And as you may know, we help women victims of violence throughout Prescott, Russell, Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry. Since it all started with a shelter in Hawkesbury, but since 2003, our mandate has been expanded to offer outreach services in both Prescott Russell and SDG. And an important thing to mention, even though we are a Francophone organization, we offer our service in both French and English. So we'd like to say that we are more than a shelter. So I'm going to explain very shortly what we're doing for your community. So we're going to talk about the shelter, the outreach services, and also our mandate to raise awareness, prevention, and education. And I would like to mention already that we have a crisis line that's available 24/7 every day of the year. You can reach us either by phone, by text, or chat messages. So our shelter in Hawkesbury is dedicated to women in Prescott Russell and also to all the French women in SDG. Because as you may know, there are other shelters. There's Baldwin's, there's Naomi, who take care of the women speaking English in Stormont Dundas and Glengarry. But outreach services in both languages to everybody in the 5 counties. So at this shelter, of course, there's welcoming common areas and a private courtyard for the kids especially. We have a presence there of one of our counselors 24/7, of course. It's safe and confidential, and it's also the place where we manage the crisis line. We've got individual and also family rooms, of course, with a total capacity of 12 beds. We have a special program also at the shelter, which we call Amimo. We have a partnership with an animal shelter because pets might be sometimes a barrier to stop a woman leaving an abusing relationship. We realized that over the years, and we've built a partnership, so the pets are being taken care of as we take care of the women. The outreach services is now the biggest thing that we do, and you'll see you'll see the numbers a little bit closer as we go on. But basically, there's tons of women who need help to quit a violent relationship, but who don't need shelter. They don't need to go to an emergency shelter. They still have friends, family. They work, they can pay their own rent. They don't need a shelter. But in the past, the services were only offered to the women in shelter. But that's what we've been doing for the 20 past years. So we've got 10 satellite offices throughout the counties, and we help each year, well, last year we helped 630 women in the 5 counties through outreach, and we had 40 women staying in the shelter. So that's why I'm saying it's a really big part of what we're doing. And they're receiving basically the same services. Of course, we're going to start by evaluate their needs. We're going to build a safety plan for them. We're going to go with them, meet lawyers, go to the court, go to the Legal Aid Ontario, Service Ontario, everything when they can need a hand. So we're doing counseling, of course, but we're really into practical things, talking about budgeting, of course, and we also do post-shelter visits, not only for our users, but also for Naomi's and for Baldwin's. We do presentation, of course, like I'm doing right now, but we're also doing some in schools on human trafficking, consent, and we can also build special presentation if there are some demands for that. We have groups also for women, for young girls, young women, also for older people. We go into residence. So we've got tons of groups available in the 5 counties and in both languages. We have a terrific network, volunteer network, that's based here in Alexandria. They take care of transportation for our user, childcare, the Pastel Boutique, which I'm going to talk to you about in a second. They do bingo session for us in order for us to get the funds. And they take care of community development as well. And Santa's Treasure, which is a special activity that we do around Christmas to get brand new toys for the kids in our program. So our boutique, yes, right here in Alexandria on Industrial Boulevard, is open to public right now 2 days per week on Tuesdays and Thursday. They can find pretty much everything that a thrift store have to offer, but most importantly, our women go there and shop for free, of course. And the money raised by what we're selling to the public, there are great deals there, I'm telling you, goes to Maison Interlude and services to our women. We are right now 23 employees full-time, and we also have more than 20 volunteers with us. We've answered more than 1,000 calls on the crisis line last year, answered more than 4,000 information calls, give close to 2,500 hours of counseling, and answer close to 3,000 texts and chat messages. 40 women stayed at the shelter along with 18 kids. And like I mentioned earlier, we helped 630 women last year. There's also close to 100 women that took part of Santa's Treasures program, and a little bit more than 200 kids. This is the map with all the counties where we offer services. The darker it gets, the more people there are, the more women are coming from these areas. And also Hawkesbury and Cornwall are really two hot spots. Together, they're close to 200 women. And if we have a closer look to North Glengarry, last year, 21 women of your community had service from Maison Interlude. And on the map, you can see that most of them are coming from here in Alexandria. I would just like to end my presentation with a few facts. Here in Canada, 1 in 3 women over 16 say they have been victims of violence, whether physical or sexual. And right here in Ontario, this year, every week, a woman is killed by her spouse or ex-spouse. Last year, I mentioned to you earlier that we had 40 women staying at the shelter, but we were forced to say no to 86. And that's the major issue we're dealing right now. Normally, a normal stay for women, I would say like 3 years ago, was about 3 months. Right now, they're staying between 6, 9, and we've seen 12 months. So we're always full. And it wasn't the case before. But as you probably know, I'm sure you know, there are no housing available for them. So that's the main issue that we're dealing with right now. In my presentation, I also included the numbers for Baldwin's and Naomi's. And now if you have any question, I would be glad to answer them.
Thank you very much for your presentation, and it's unfortunate that we need a service like this in our community, but it's much needed. My question is, I know the one in Alexandria used to house people. When did that stop?
Around 2003, I believe, as well. We were merged with Montedel, I believe it was called, and we still have 2 beds for extreme emergency. In Montedel, we also have satellite offices here for our workers to meet with our clients, and we have Pastel downstairs. But it was in 2003 when they decided that they needed actually outreach services for women and not only shelters, that MIH got the mandate and that they closed the shelter at Montedel and keep the one in Hawkesbury.
And where does most of your funding come from?
The government, the provincial one, but we're in the middle of fundraiser right now because, of course, we are funded for the locals, for our employers, our employees, of course. But there are other services that the women need that are not. Let's say like transportation, all what our volunteers are taking care of right now. So the transportation, well, we need to pay their gas, of course. The childcare to buy also the Christmas gift, but also the first grocery when it's back to school. Also, they might need a hand. So that's basically why we're raising fund right now, and because it doesn't cover everything, of course.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your presentation. Your organization does very important work. I'm just wondering, how big a problem is human trafficking in this region?
The thing is that we're kind of right in the middle between, Montreal and Toronto. We're really close to Ottawa. And it seems to be quite a big problem because we're on this highway, and according to the OPP and my coworkers, it is an issue. And we have a special room at the shelter when we receive a woman victim of human trafficking because they've been through hell. And I would not say that it's super common. That would not be true. But we have I would say 6. Last year it was 6 person that we had that came from human trafficking. So it's not huge, but it's the part we know. It's the victims we know. It's really the fact that we're between the 2 biggest cities and pretty close to Ottawa that puts us like in the middle of the fire, I would say.
Thank you. Councillor Massey.
Oui, merci pour ta présentation. Puis,
Merci.
thank you for all the services you provide to this community. It's when you come and do your presentation every year, we're reminded how many, because your awareness makes us aware of the problem. Just a little, do you accept donations at Boutique Pastel? Is just like Saint-Vincent-de-Paul, or?
Yes, exactly. You can
Okay.
go in the back of the store, and they're actually building a cabanon, a shed right
Okay.
now,
Okay.
so people can actually go in and drop their stuff. But right now there is a place so you can leave your donation as well, and our volunteers go through that, and they make sure also if it's not, I would say, good enough to keep at the boutique, they also have other companies that they deal with to make sure like everything is going to be recycled.
Okay, good. Maybe we can add that to our website maybe or something.
Yeah,
go
may I
ahead.
just have a follow-up? So what is the biggest need that you have at the boutique, do you think?
At the boutique, we're pretty good with closing. We've got tons, but we're always getting some for women, for kids, but also for men since we're open to public. I would say that all kitchen items, the dishes, everything that you need to start back a new life, because some of the women we meet and come, they don't have anything. So they really need to start back again. Unfortunately, we cannot accept furniture. We make sure in the garage in Oxbury at the shelter that we always have like two sets of complete furniture for someone who's about to leave, but we cannot accept like tons and tons of furniture because of a lack of space. But all the kitchen items, the small appliances also are really well needed. So we're really happy when we get some. So that's the items we're looking for.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Madden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mayor Pierre, thank you very much. Something I'm going to mention that you didn't, there's a fundraiser on December 6th at the Bonnie Glen, a dinner that I have circulated around. I don't know if everybody's taken it up or not. I'll be there. My significant other will be there. I understand Francis is the...
Co-president,
Co-president,
yes, along
yes.
with Geneviève Lajoie from and the mayor of Castleman.
Yeah. So just for everybody to know, for the public to know, there is an opportunity to support through a fundraising dinner. So anybody who's interested,
Yes.
I think we can probably put together a table. I'm just
That would be awesome. We also sent a letter back in July asking for a contribution, but we didn't have any news. But anyway, I keep my fingers crossed, and we'll see what happens.
Great. I'm not your significant other, right? It's Christine, okay. Yeah. Any other further questions or comments? Seeing none, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, moving on to our other delegation, Glengarry Pipers. I know Ryan McLeod was supposed to be here, but I got a text. He's quite sick, and he said he's sending Gerald here to take over.
Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So my name is Melanie Chalette. I'm a teacher in the community. I do some volunteer work with Jerry, Ryan, and Matthew. I'm just going to wrap up, summarize. The Glengarry Pipers started in the Eastern Ontario Super Hockey League about 3 years ago. We're just helping to grow our community and just be involved. We usually take the players from the Junior B Glens once they've gotten older to play in that division. So we've got Pierre-Luc Sabourin, Kevin Howson, Leo McLean, Austin Gasper, Braden Pearl, Xavier Leveillé, and Jerry Goulet. So they've played for the Glens, and then they've eventually moved on with us. And then this upcoming season, we've even added more local talent to our roster with Johnny Sear and Felix Sauvé. So we would like to continue to support the young hockey players who are moving on from Junior B Glens and have a new team that they can depend on to continue playing the hockey. Since the Glengarry Pipers have established a team, we have created great connections with our community by staying involved. Here are just a few ways that the Pipers have been involved. So we have some proceeds that goes back to minor hockey team. So they just have to share the code word at the entrance, and then that money will go back to the hockey team. So far, we've had 2 hockey teams where we've hosted and nominated that team, and we were able to give back $330 just for their expenses. We have a partnership with the Legion in Alexandria. So this past game on Saturday, it was Remembrance Day. We were able to invite a veteran to help us bring awareness and drop the puck to get the game started. At every game, we reach out to the community and parents, and we seek out youths to be our flag bearers for the opening ceremonies. It allows for the kids just to have that little special feeling when they open up the game. We've hosted golf tournaments at the Glengarry Golf and Country Club. We've partnered up with the Atlantic a few times to host themed events after our games, just to kind of have that community touch base with our players. When our captain's father was diagnosed with lung fibrosis, we held a fundraiser for the Canadian Pulmonary Fibrosis Foundation. We've participated at the Christmas parade. This past July, we set up a booth at the park on Canada Day, and we encourage the kids to participate in our target shooting and to win a variety of prizes. Some of our local players will often attend minor hockey practices to practice and help the team and coaches, and then we often give back some tickets so that the children and families can attend our games. And then throughout the season, we'll also be hosting local youths to come and sing our national anthem at the games. So in order for the Glengarry Pipers to be a competitive team, a team that can represent our Glengarry community, because we know that we have a great community here, we're requesting in the township a budget of $15,000 to assist with expenses such as arena costs and player salaries, expenses, equipment. With this budget, we can continue strengthening the skills and talent that our community has always put towards our young athletes. So the Junior B Glens once had crowds of 1,200 people per game. By strengthening our players' abilities and skills, we strongly believe that we could have these many fans at our home games, not to mention the impact this would have on our local businesses as well. In exchange for this budget, we're willing to offer the following. So obviously a tax receipt, and then after 300 tickets sold, we will return this money back to the township as a repayment. And I also want to mention that with the big the diversity that we have in our team, where we come from, we have local and from far, that it also brings a lot of outside talent into the community. And so we would be able to really get our name, Glengarry, the Glengarry Pipers, out there for other events that could possibly happen. I know that Hockeyville by Kraft was a big one. So that could also help us with, expansions and renovations of the arena, and then also bring back money back into the community. So if you have any questions, Jerry will take over.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do you have something, or are you just answering questions?
No, I can answer questions. I'm just really excited to see the local hockey talent available. I know Junior B, we still have a Junior B team, and it's important to our community as well. But there's never anything afterwards. There's either beer league or whatever like that, and not everybody can play at 10:30 at night or whatever. But it's quite competitive hockey. But feel free to ask questions. I'd love to answer them for you.
Okay, great. Thanks for your presentation. I will just tell you that everything will go back to staff.
Absolutely.
And we have budget coming up.
Absolutely.
So any questions or comments from members of the committee? Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It says you pay your players?
Yes. Yep.
And, because the Glens pay a lot to be on that team.
So in Junior B hockey,
Yeah.
now players pay to play hockey. Like years ago when I was playing, we didn't pay to play hockey. If you were good enough, you made the team, and then local fundraising and things like that. But with this, there's no, like the players don't pay to play. So if they're acquired or signed or traded for, they come under the club, and depending on some players, we have ex-NHL players that come in, and I mean, they all have day jobs and things like that. So sometimes it's like as a salary, it goes to pay like their gas. We have some that travel from Laval, or there's local kids too that are still playing at a high level, or they come back from university. you know, it helps them out as well, because hockey sticks are like $300 now. They're not $50 anymore, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks. Any
Yeah.
further questions or comments? Just I have one.
Sure.
What typically is your crowd at a game?
So
at this
far this
point?
year, we've been averaging around 150.
150.
When we play like teams like Cornwall or Long Sault, the crowds are higher, obviously, because they're kind of local and they come in. We're in a division now where we have Ottawa, Arnprior, Low Quebec. That's in our division, so we play there, and then that's typically not as much, but I think last year our best crowd was 215 or 225.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wondering about the league itself.
Yes.
How long has the league been around?
The league has been in effect for 4 years.
For 4 years? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. It started out with 4 teams.
Yeah.
And then it's expanded now to 15.
15.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions? Okay, seeing none, well, thank you for your presentation, and we'll be discussing with Ann and
Great.
get back to you guys.
Great, thank you very much.
Great,
Thanks.
thank you. Okay, moving on to staff reports, Administrative Department, Community Emergency Preparedness Grant. Councillor Manley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Move on myself, seconded by Councillor Madden, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry direct staff to apply to the Community Emergency Preparedness Grant, CEPG, for the installation of a generator at the Glengarry Sports Palace as part of the emergency response plan.
Oh, you're doing it? Okay, sorry. Well, I thought Ann was doing it because it was at the Sports Palace, but you go ahead.
So thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ann and I and staff are constantly looking for grants, obviously, for things that we're in need. This is something that we've been discussing around the emergency management table for a while now, especially just recently with the little ice storm we had. The Glengarry Sports Palace is an excellent place for us to be able to house people in a longer term situation if we had to bring the Red Cross in, because there is town water, there's the showers, there's cooking facility, etc. And without a generator there, it's really difficult. So when Alexandria had no power, it was difficult to think that we could have it be there. As well, in a longer term situation, if we had a mass casualty, it's also the morgue for the area for SDG. So that's also another not so great example, but another reason why we might need to have a generator there. The cost has obviously gone up over the last number of years. We do have a generator here at town office. We have one at Island Park, which was also through a grant. And unfortunately, the cost of things have gone up. So we would have to take a little bit of money from that contingency fund through the CEMC, which is for emergency reasons. So staff are hoping we can get this going.
Okay, questions or comments? Councillor Massey.
Yes, finally, when I was reading that, I said, don't tell me we're gonna get we're hoping to get the grant to get the generator, but, and I know we've talked about this a long time since I'm on council, I think, but regardless of the grant or not, we should maybe try to put it in the budget to get one. Like, I know the grant would be really nice, but eventually we'll have to get one.
Yeah, I'd just be very honest that this is not the year to do it. Our budget is, we've got lots of paring down to do. We're in the 11 to 12% range right now, so we've got lots of work to do on the budget, so definitely not the year for something like that. And I know it's not a luxury, it's something that will be needed in the community, but let's just hope that we can get this grant. So.
Anne has very good success at writing grants.
Yes, she does. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea to apply for this grant, and with your skills, I'm sure you will be successful.
No pressure.
Are these generators permanent? Like they have to be installed and then they can't be moved?
That's right.
Okay. And the same with the one in Island Park?
Yeah, through Mr. Mayor. So especially for the Glengarry Sports Palace, because of the size, we have looked at a mobile generator as another option. However, this was ranked before the mobile generator. And we did identify some sources for those mobile generators through the last ice storm. Todd found some.
Okay. I'm just wondering, because if there was a big disaster that was lengthy, we would also need the Maxville Sports Complex as
Right.
well.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if, because the Island Park is great for a small number of people, but it can't accommodate a lot of people. It doesn't really have much of a functioning kitchen. I'm wondering if we can consider moving the generator from Island Park to the Maxville
Yeah.
Arena.
Go ahead.
Through Mr. Mayor. So certainly, we're constantly reviewing the emergency management plan, and just recently, we were at Island Park for our last exercise. And following that, the smaller groups, so myself, the fire chief, and the CMC Jenna got together. We were kind of talking about the idea of using Island Park versus perhaps moving the EOC, so the command center, to here. So in the event that we ended up doing that, Deputy Mayor Williams, I agree that it might be an option as well, as especially if we get the grant. So if we get the grant, we have that as a great shelter. I do agree. I think originally the grant that was offered before was smaller. And so we did the EOC because we need that in emergency, right, for our command center. So if we can move that here, that's what we were kind of thinking, because we were looking at like Wi-Fi, et cetera, and just like having staff offices. I know from being through emergency, it's very important to kind of have an office nearby as well. So we can kind of look at that as a long-term plan for sure.
Great, thank you.
Go ahead.
Just wondering though whether that generator would be big enough for Maxville.
We'll have to take a look at
Right.
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Depends on what we would use it for.
I guess so, yeah.
It may run just the community center section of it. We may not need the arena floor, but yeah.
Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. None opposed. Moving on to SNC Cost Apportioning Agreement, Watershed Programs and Services. Councillor Cadell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Martin, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry authorizes the mayor and CAO to enter into a cost apportioning agreement for watershed programs and services with the South Nation Conservation Authority.
Thank you.
So thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is a follow-up from Carl's presentation from a couple of weeks ago for the Category 3 SNC programming. So I just need council's authorization for Jamie and I to sign the agreement.
Okay, questions or comments? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. I'm not sure, I don't remember where I saw this in here. Oh yeah, in the agreement, under fees. Let me see. Yeah, here we are. It says the participating municipalities permit SNRCA to establish and charge user fees for the watershed programs and services. So, do you know, would we be charged? Like, are there services that we would then be charged for?
I'm assuming that what they're saying, I'd have to look at the exact wording, Deputy Mayor Williams, but I'm assuming they mean that they can charge the residents for their fees, but what section?
Because
is
we
it?
already pay a levy, so.
So there's a levy,
Yeah.
but if there's a special, sometimes, and we've had that at the RCA, there, something that's just specific to North Glengarry, say the dam, they get monies like, through grants or whatever, but then that is a special levy that we have to pay because it's only particular to us. So it's something that maybe we've requested, so I'm assuming that that's what that means.
I think, sorry, Mr. Mayor, but I think it means that just like the Raisin River, River, they do have the camping and everything, so I think it mentions then participation shall permit and South Nation RCA to establish and charge user fees for the watershed programs and services. So if they have
Okay,
to
I
do a
get what you mean,
presentation or an event information day, they can charge $5 to come in or something. I think that's what it means. And for trees also and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're not paying and then paying again.
No.
They're charging directly to the people that attend.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the budget and what we pay to SNC and RRCA is equal to the budget year after year. Sometimes there's a little bit of a difference depending if we do with our budget before them, but it's usually,
Right.
there's no extra fees.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed. And what we've all been waiting for, the Public Works Department Water Quality Management System internal audit results. Councillor Madden.
Hold on. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Massey, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry receives report PW 2023-36, Water Quality Management System internal audit results for information purposes only.
Thank you. Welcome, Tim.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is, we should get used to seeing more and more of these reports come to council. As you know, previously, the main issue that was brought up as a major issue with the audit was that making sure that staff, senior management staff and council were really involved in the drinking water system. So that's what this is. So we just had our internal audit. We do a internal and then an external audit. And this is a fairly minor year, so it's just a tabletop audit for the external. We had a really good internal audit. There were 2 non-conformities, both very minor clerical issues that were corrected quickly. There were also some suggested improvements that I won't go through here, but they included formatting changes, suggested further training and PowerPoint presentations for council and management staff, integration of upcoming consultant reports and plans as really were already planned to be integrated into the system, and a few naming changes for consistency. The auditor had only good things to say about Angela and the Waterworks department. We're doing really, really well. There is some more or refresher training coming up that everyone's seen an email about for council. So we want to do that. And so it was completed on October 28th and on October 10th from October 28th last year. And we'll see the external audit in November, so you can await that riveting report. Thank you.
Can't wait. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Thank you, Tim. Just waiting for a motion that we've lost. Okay. Well, I have a motion moved by myself. Seconded by, I thought you were laughing at me. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Williams. That the Council of the Township of North Glengarry receives the items from the consent agenda. Any questions on the consent agenda? All those in favor? Motion is carried. And none opposed. And we have under new business, Habitat for Humanity proclamation. I have a motion moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Williams, in recognition of the National Housing Day and the celebration of Habitat for Humanity Cornwall and the county's 25th anniversary, whereas the need for affordable housing is at a crisis level, whereas Habitat for Humanity Cornwall and the counties has built 18 homes over the last 25 years and continues to build safe, affordable homes for local, low-income families which are sold at fair market value. And in recognition of Habitat for Humanity Cornwall and the county's continued efforts throughout Stormont, Dundas, Glengarry, and Cornwall, working with the community to help families build strength, stability, and self-reliance through affordable home ownership. The Council of the Township of North Glengarry acknowledges the tireless work of Habitat for Humanity Cornwall and the counties and joins them in celebration for their 25th anniversary and recognition of National Housing Day on November 22nd. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Motion is carried, none opposed. And I believe that's it for our agenda. Notice of motion, our next regular public meeting of council is November 27th, 2023, 6 p.m. here in council chambers. There's nobody here for a question period. Does anybody have any upcoming events that they'd like to promote that are coming up in the, Mike already did one as well. Councillor Martin.
In Maxville on the 25th, we're going to be doing our Christmas tree lighting. We're going to do a barbecue with the proceeds going to the food bank.
Okay.
And we're hoping to get a cash bar set up. We're going to have a little movie in the park that night, and maybe a little bit of Christmas karaoke and whatnot. So come on down for a good time. So. It is winter, yes. So it should be pretty cool.
Wow. Good. Anybody else? Go ahead.
Just to follow on that. The 26th is the Santa Claus Parade. We'll have our meeting the day after, so we won't have another chance to mention it. So Maxville Santa Claus Parade is the 26th. Alexandria is the 3rd. We can announce that one on the 27th. But I don't see anything else before the next meeting.
Okay, great. So thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening. Thank you to members of council and staff. So everyone, have a great evening. Stay safe on the roads tonight. Hopefully the snow will stop soon. So have a great evening. Thank you.